Well, welcome everyone to the TEK2day podcast powered by CEO Radar. It's your host, John Maeda. We're not a guest-driven podcast, if you know the TEK2day podcast, but today I'm happy to have two guests, Ken Bisconti and Bob Petrocchi from SS&C Intralinks. If you know SS&C, Intralinks came to the company by way of acquisition in November 2018 for $1.5 billion purchase price. I first met Intralinks back in 2007, 2008 timeframe when the company was looking toward an IPO. That was a couple of management iterations ago, several owners ago. So Ken and Bob have been co-leading the business for, I guess, just over a year now. And so we'll get the update from them as to what they're doing in terms of the strategic focus of the company, customer value prop. We'll do an overview of the products, maybe drill down on some cool product initiatives that the guys are working on this year, and we'll take it from there. So Ken, Bob, thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you, John. Nice to see you.
Happy to be here, John.
Maybe if you could each sort of provide a bit, I know you have some history with Intralinks beyond assuming co-leads, I guess just over a year ago, and just provide a bit of background for the audience.
Yeah, just a brief background on me. My name's Ken Bisconti. I joined the Intralinks team right around November of 2017. And before that, I had spent a long career of leadership positions in different software businesses, some of them in the IBM portfolio, companies like FileNet and Tea-Leaf Technologies, and some others in web analytics. And before that, I had also spent some time with Lotus Development and collaboration and portal technologies, and have enjoyed my time here. Speaking
about my background is one of my favorite all-time pastimes. So I could go on for hours, but I'll spare the audience that and just say, I've been with the Intralinks family now going on almost 5 years. I started here as kind of the sales leader for the North American business, M&A, banking, securities, and our enterprise business, and then became global head of sales. Ken and I joined up probably about a year and a half ago to
October 2019, I think it was.
Co-leading the business. We had a lot of questions about what a co-leader equation would look like, but it's really a good complement of skills and expertise, and we were kind of co-mingling the duties, and it's been a challenging but pretty rewarding year and a half in this role for sure. And looks like the 2021 has started off on a positive note, and hopefully we'll keep that rolling throughout the year.
Maybe a good place to start would be around where you're focusing the company. I think prior to you guys coming on into the leadership roles, there was, if I remember correctly, initiatives around sort of broadening the customer base and making the platform more of a generalized content management collaboration tool, if you will. And maybe if we could talk about how you've focused the company since that time.
Sure, I can maybe take a first crack at that, and then Ken will keep me honest. We certainly have a strength in basic document collaboration. It's in our DNA. We've done it well for many years, and what we've realized is there's probably 3 specific areas that we excel, and we feel strongly that if we can't be in a part of the market where we're going to have a leadership position, then it probably doesn't make sense for us to spend a lot of our time and resources. So we've refocused the business. Our main business has been and will continue to be M&A due diligence without a question, although we have a pretty significant footprint in the alternative space with our GP and LP community, hundreds of thousands of users on the LP side, and I would say above 50,000 on the GP side. So, it's a pretty ubiquitous platform in the alternative space, and we also have a pretty significant library of use cases in our banking and security sector that is around secure deal exchange and our financial deal lifecycle. So those are the 3 places that we've aligned business, research and development, and the sales organization. Ken, I'll let you chime in on offerings and wherever else you want to go with it.
Yeah, Bob's right. Just around 2017, actually, when I was first involved with the business, we were working with Cirrus Capital. We were owned by private equity, or it was a private equity acquisition of Intralinks, and part of the investment thesis that Bob and I helped execute was refocusing the organization on the financial services use cases and the strength of the business, with, as Bob said, a focus on these three core markets: M&A, alternative investments, banking, and securities. And in each of those areas, we've started from the position of having a flagship offering like VDRPro in the M&A space, or our fundraising, fund reporting capabilities in alts, or our debt space capabilities in banking and securities, and have built portfolios or families of offerings throughout each of those core markets.
How has messaging changed over the past, let's say, several months, a year? And I was just thinking, I think it was just yesterday afternoon, I was reading a bit more about that Microsoft Exchange breach. And with respect to Intralinks, I was wondering to what extent is cybersecurity perhaps emphasized or more emphasized today than it was maybe a year or several years ago? And do you get the sense from customers that there's a heightened awareness around cybersecurity from their end?
It's a great question. Actually, Intralinks started 20 odd years ago with this general idea of being able to securely share information across boundaries, which feels like a table stakes capability today with Dropbox and Box and Google and things like that. But, customers really rely on Intralinks having a very robust cybersecurity and overall security and information management and controls strategy. And and also the appropriate, certifications and regulatory practices. And so we have across the world ISO 27001 and SOC 2 security compliance and certifications. But when we think about security, this is one of the areas where you start by having a robust model, a layered model of how you're making sure that your information, of course, is access controlled and authenticated through multiple layers, and then that you also have permissioning, and this idea of very granular permissioning, and also the ability to manage that across different boundaries is very important. And of course, everything encrypted at rest, encrypted in transit, and highly logged and auditable. So those are very, very important aspects and characteristics of the Intralinks brand, and one of the reasons that people continue to rely on and trust Intralinks with some of the most secure transactions that they're executing around the world.
I would just add to the second part of your question. Customers have always been concerned with it, but I think they're hypersensitive to it now because of increased deal volume, the fact that everyone's working from home. It's more difficult to secure laptops, and and all the other ways that you can have access to data that didn't exist even just a year ago. So the market is sensitized to it for sure. And as we look at our cybersecurity part of our business, it's front and center, and it's hard to say it's a differentiator, but man, it's a strength of our platform for sure.
But to me, it feels like when you talk to, or when I talk to executives about cybersecurity, it's more the external threat that comes to mind, that's top of mind with folks. And I think, as you just said, Bob, one of the strengths of your platform is the provisioning and permissioning, because there's equal risk of internal document leakage and sensitivity in that area as well. And being able to permission, as you said, Ken, at a granular level, whether it's at rest, in transit, or so on and so forth, that's that's huge. It's a huge differentiator, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's also important just in the context of our use cases to, to watermark documents as appropriate, and to also have capabilities like information rights management, so that we can, we can control access to information even if it's been downloaded out of a data room and is on a an offline laptop. Those are things that our customers care about having control over.
So with respect to IRM, is that your IP entirely, or do you embed somebody else's IP in that solution?
We're one of the only vendors that has our own proprietary technology in that space. So yeah, of course, we leverage some of the Microsoft rights management and other capabilities on Office documents, but our overall IRM technology is something that we built, and we don't use a third party like some other players do in this space.
We call it our special sauce. Yes, you can say that.
Well, maybe we could walk through some of the different product offerings with respect to the 3 customer cohorts that we talked about up front, if that makes sense, just for folks that are less familiar with the platform.
Yeah, happy to. So, we're starting in the M&A segment. Our deal execution, family is comprised of technologies starting with our core virtual data room, which is VDRPro, and that's also complemented with other capabilities like deal marketing. So we have a deal marketing solution that allows customers to, manage the transactional communication that typically happens when people are marketing deals, and then managing teasers and SIMs and NDAs and all that, kind of process in the pipeline of deal execution. While our VDRPro technology is used primarily for sell-side due diligence, we've also developed a new offering called Deal Vision that helps buy-side teams organize their work, and checklist management, provides, AI-based review assist on documentation and other things that they're pulling together, and allows those teams to be very effective. And then, we also see people use our technologies through post-merger integration as well. So from sort of deal marketing all the way through deal execution, sign and close, and ultimately through PMI, we cover the overall, deal life cycle in M&A. In the alt space, we got started with fundraising and fund reporting technologies, and some of the most popular in the marketplace today. We've complemented that since joining SS&C with a new investor portal called Investor Vision. And we've also been working to integrate some other SS&C technologies into that mix as we build out a more integrated suite for the alts portfolio. And then in the banking and securities area, we're well known for our technologies in debt capital market management for things like bond issuance, loan origination, managing CMBS or NPLs, et cetera. But we've also, developed a technology that's been called VIA Elite, VIA Pro, that are used as the basis for a lot of secure information document exchange use cases that happen, between banks and other third parties. And so it could be for a security regulatory compliance use case, or it could be a document collection use case for loan origination, on and on. There are many use cases that we've been automating, even more recently, things like, LIBOR and 17G5, compliance kind of use cases.
Yeah,
Was PPP one of them as well? Sorry, Bob.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, John.
And I'm going back several months, just thinking of a press release. I thought I saw around PPP and loan distribution with the original stimulus that Intralinks played a role there with the banks.
We played a significant role with, not sure if we can disclose it, but one of the largest banks in the world, and we were critical part of the workflow to receive loan applications. We processed, I want to say, Ken, over
500,000.
Over 500,000 applications, and helped our customer have a very successful campaign with that. So it was great. Our team really felt like it was a rallying call that we were able to help, a lot of businesses who were trying to stay afloat during that time. So our ability to ramp up an application that we had been traditionally running about 1,500 users on it up to 500,000, over a long Easter weekend to be able to process those loans was really, really crucial. The other point I just wanted to punctuate that Ken started to touch on around the product suite, which is really important, I think, is we've definitely, probably in the last year, have seen our business become much more focused on specific use cases with our products. And Ken mentioned 17G5 and operational due diligence and a few others, but even in the VDR space with large energy transactions or construction diligence processes, we feel like we have a purpose-built tool that will allow people to scale and use large data sets extremely effectively with kind of our internal expertise that we've developed over the years of doing a lot of these deals, but also packaging it up and making it available to our customers. And I would say we've had a lot of takers on these repeat use patterns that we're able to share with our customers. It's certainly an advantage that we feel like we bring to the market.
So does that mean then on the sales side that an energy company versus someone in the alternative space, does that mean you have a skinny bundle that makes more sense for one vertical versus another, as opposed to going in with the full suite? And
I think you could say that. What we've done is we've recognized that with certain verticals there's heavier usage with different features and functionality within the platform, right? So punctuating that is number one, but we also have realized that we have a pretty highly tenured support team, from a customer service support, from a SAM support standpoint, and a lot of industry expertise. And what we've been able to do is align the best people we have in managing these large complex data rooms with the functionality that we offer in the platform, and providing a differentiated experience for our customers. And I think a skinny bundle is a good way to put it, but it's a skinny bundle wrapped with just a great amount of domain expertise. I think that would be the significant differentiation that I think we've seen.
So what does that then mean for the product roadmap? Does that mean, it sounds like you've got kind of two interesting axes whereby you could add domain-specific features and functionality as you address different sub-verticals. And then on the, if that's the vertical axis, and then on the horizontal, Ken, you mentioned AI earlier. There's always more you can do that's very people intensive, and it's never seems to move as fast as you like it to, you being the proverbial you, with respect to, ramping up machine learning and AI-based efforts, given that they're so people intensive. So maybe if you could share a little bit about sort of product roadmap and how you think about different priorities over the next year or so.
Yeah, as I started to say earlier, just generally at a high level, in each of our core markets, we see a requirement for a growing suite of capabilities. So if we just take the M&A space as an example, most of our success started with sell-side due diligence, but we've seen more and more demand in the marketplace to not only fulfill the entire deal life cycle, downstream and upstream ends of deal sourcing and deal execution, but also adding to that the use of analytics and insights to make the technology and the business processes smarter. And as Bob was just saying, providing vertical and horizontal specialization, that allows us to deliver solutions, including people, right? And people expertise that allows us to, serve a broader, variety of use cases, and do that with excellence and depth, for different vertical and horizontal use cases. And we're doing the same thing in some of our other markets as well, in alts and banking and securities too.
And I would add that you're right in that artificial intelligence, predictive analytics is of tremendous interest and obviously a hot button everywhere you go, but it's how do you apply it against what data set for what outcome that is going to be desirable to our customer base is kind of the key, and what we think we have a an interesting approach. And Ken and I have done a ton of outreach, probably the best hours of my day over the last probably 5 or 6 months really is collaborating with our customers, talking about the roadmap, the direction, and getting feedback, real-time feedback. And some themes we see are consistently there, and others are a little different based on the institution. But it's a big push, right? We're trying to innovate faster than the market for sure.
What would be a couple of examples outside of predictive analytics, which I know is a big one, in terms of, Ken, you had mentioned insights in analytics, and as you were saying, I was thinking about benchmarking. I'm not sure to what extent you can leverage data sets across customer cohorts for anonymized data and things like this. But maybe you could provide a couple of examples of insights in analytics.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, one of those, starts with just better reporting. One of the most popular uses of analytics and insights for our customers is buyer activity insights. And so, if you're, a banker representing a sell side, opportunity, often you might have 3 to 5 or more potential buyers and, active in a virtual data room as an example. And, leveraging the buyer user activity, it was helpful to understand who's serious, who's just kicking the tires, like what are the ways that we can sort of move this deal along. That's a simple example. As we get, deeper into it, take examples like in our Deal Vision product, we've used, machine learning and NLP technologies to comb through the thousands of documents that might be in a virtual data room and, help a buy-side team by associating those with their checklist items. So if I have a checklist item where I'm looking for a customer concentration, in a vertical or some particular, business, line that I'm looking to acquire, we can go combing through a very large VDR, however it was structured by the sellers, and find the documents and recommend them to the buy-side team. Hey, this document may pertain to this particular checklist item. And then they can go review it and add their own findings, et cetera. And then just maybe one other example, you were mentioning, anonymized deals across, mandates. Last year, we developed an example capability we call Deal Success Predictor. And so we actually created the ability for some of our customers to examine, a deal that's active right now and say like, hey, this deal has a 77% chance of, getting to, a successful outcome based on, the history of these, other thousands of deals that we've analyzed. And here are the 12 characteristics of the deal that, have the most impact on overall deal success.
Yeah, kind of a natural extension to our, our current insights dashboard that shows people where the activity is in the VDR, if there's anything missing. It's to Ken's point, just a natural extra checkpoint for the users to see what could potentially need some attention, or give them a little bit more sense of security that's going to be successful.
I'm curious about the checklist. I mean, everything that you just ticked off, Ken, sounded interesting in terms of the sort of the value prop. But with respect to the checklist, one of the pieces of feedback I get from friends on the buy side, who many companies just haven't operationalized M&A. So the checklist to a degree provides, guidance around how to think about it if you were to, scale an M&A organization and ramp up corporate development and operationalize it. That could be a tool, a trusted tool that would help you develop a trusted relationship with the buy side. That makes a lot of sense.
Bob mentioned earlier, the importance of the expertise that we've developed in our client success team. And so that expertise often comes to bear, whether it's helping a sell side team index and structure, their deal and provide, information in a way that, like, okay, you're trying to sell, 500 cell towers. We've done that before with this company, this company, this company. These are some of the best practices of how you'd like to sort of organize the index for that. Likewise, for, buy-side checklists, we could also, give some examples. Here are best in class, practices of examples, of best practice, checklists that people have used in buy-side tools. And, you probably, know that, in practice, a lot of people are doing this today in Excel spreadsheets and email.
Yep.
And there's some, there's some advantages and familiarity to that, but there's a lot of disadvantages. It's, I've been, prior to Intralinks, I was, in a corporate environment, and I'd be on buy-side teams where we had 50 or more people, on a buy-side team, and just trying to organize, our work, and organize our findings, was not an easy thing to do. And you can imagine if you're the poor person kind of managing the due diligence team, and you're trying to get, like, I just got 50 inputs today and I'm trying to put them into my Excel spreadsheet, so that I can give people a daily update on how the diligence is doing. It's an under optimized, environment. So having an online checklist, in a collaborative and secure environment, the buy-side team can be doing this completely in their own secure area, and doing so, online, and everything's up to date at all times, has a lot of benefits.
I was thinking, as you were saying that I've spent the last 20 years trying to convince bankers that there are other alternatives other than Excel to manage data and processes. And it's heavy lifting sometimes, but, I think the notion of showing and kind of scoring a deal success is pulling them there, which I think is good. Pull versus the push, I think, is more successful.
Well, Ken, Bob, I really appreciate it. This was helpful. Sounds like you guys have a lot of interesting stuff going on, and we'll be interested in tracking you here as 2021 progresses and beyond that. So thanks again for joining the Tech Today podcast.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan.
Take care, guys.
Take care.